Guys, welcome back to another pickups video. So, during these last 90 days, I managed to grab a couple of things for my game room, like magazines, games, hardware, etc. So, come along and please enjoy the ride. Let's take a look. So, let's start with a couple of retro gamer magazines, like this, the original stuff. The English original number 176 with this amazing cover featuring Contra, and also the Spanish edition of this amazing publication that I'm truly enjoying, cause it features exclusive in-depth looks onto the Spanish golden era of video games that brings so many memories when the ZX Spectrum was my main gaming machine. And last Christmas, my wife offered me this amazing book, Star Wars Made Easy. I'm a true fan of the Star Wars universe, and when I say that this book is amazing, it's simply because fans like me will most likely learn something new that they've completely missed. And besides that, it's really simple to read, and the design is absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving it and I highly recommend it, not only to fans, but mostly to people new to Star Wars or that just got confused along the way. Amazing stuff. Now jumping right away to games and to the PS4. This was also a Christmas gift, but for my son. Is this obscure game FIFA 18. Do you know it? Just kidding. FIFA 18, what an amazing game. Amazing stuff. FIFA 18 is indeed a great football or soccer game, and my kid loves it, and that's just practically everything he plays on the PS4. And for the PS3, I got also brand new FIFA 9. These games are great for multiplayer fun when I bring friends to my game room, and again, my kid just loves to discover which players played where, and he knows more about the sport than his father. Yeah, I'm embarrassed right now. Another title that my kid just loves to play in co-op is Little Big Planet 3. This was the one from the main series, from the let's say original trilogy that was missing. The first two games are among my favorites on the PS3, as you saw in my history video about the PlayStation 3. Check it out if you missed it. Next one is Ridge Racer 7. I'm gonna be honest with you all. This is the first Ridge Racer that I've ever played, and was just a couple of days ago to capture footage for this pickups video. What do you think about the franchise? Tell me which one is the best, cause I'm yet to understand why this franchise is so popular. Next up is the last published game from Free Radical. I'm talking about Haze. It ended up as an exclusive game for the PlayStation 3. All other versions, PC and Xbox 360, were cancelled. I recall that it was inspired by Apocalypse Now, the movie directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and was supposed to be a third-person action game and not a first-person shooter. Ubisoft wanted Haze to compete with Call of Duty and Halo games. It's a disappointing game and even considered as one of the 30 worst games ever made. But I bought it cause after Haze, Star Wars Battlefront 3 was supposed to be also released, but ended up cancelled because LucasArts stopped funding Free Radical, mainly due to the constant delays by the developer. The poor commercial performance from Haze was also a consequence for the developer's bankruptcy. And I guess that a new Battlefront 3 from Electronic Arts won't also be seeing the light of day, after all the controversy around the microtransactions and loot boxes. Yeah, so I guess that Star Wars Battlefront 3 is somehow cursed. Let's leave all that behind and move on to WRC2, when the franchise and WRC license were in the hands of Milestone. I really like this one. The first entry in this series was a disaster, but this sequel is pretty good. And it has the Portuguese special stadium stage in Faro, in Algarve. That is really awesome. There's also special vehicles and classes like the Group B and cars from the mythic Safari Rally that are a really joy to use on the track. I absolutely love rally games and racing games in general, so this was a pretty cool find. Now a title from a mythic PlayStation franchise and from Insomniac Games. Yeah, I'm talking about Ratchet & Clank Quest for Booty, the sequel to the awesome Tools of Destruction, picking up the moment when Clank was kidnapped. It's a bit short, but it introduced some new gameplay elements and awesome puzzles. A must-have for fans. I already owned this game in the past when I got my PS3, but ended up trading it. This is a proof that those games that we played in the past are the ones that we really need on our own collection, cause those are the games that brings a lot of good memories, even if everybody else hates them, you know. Now here's a game that I just played a couple hours ago. Yeah, Mod Nation Racers. It's another PlayStation 3 exclusive, a sort of Mario Kart for Sony's console. Don't know if the online community is still rocking, cause every time I try to reach the downloadable content, I get an error message. The track creation tool seems really simple to use, so I guess I'm gonna lose myself creating weird stuff, just like in the good old days of motocross madness, yeah. This was a brand new game that I grabbed just before Christmas, a sort of gift to myself, yeah. BioShock Infinite, the one that was missing from the original trilogy and the one that I'm yet to fully enjoy. From the bit that I tried, it looks amazing, with a magnificent and overwhelming art direction. I'm really eager to discover more, cause I've always, and to this day, avoided reviews and gameplays of this game. Can you believe it? Till this moment I only watched the game's trailer, and this bit of footage was my first steps onto Columbia, this fictional steampunk city. That's who I am. I want to discover games for myself, just like in the good old days, and not ruin all my hype watching someone else's gameplays or walkthroughs. That's why single-player games and games with a story are starting to fade out and will probably disappear in the near future. Sad but true. Tell me what you think about this subject down in the comment section below. Now, this was the last game to be developed by LucasArts themselves. Yeah, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Yeah, I know, it's bad, but as I said, it will remain in history as the last game developed in-house. I don't know about you guys, but as for what Star Wars games are concerned, I prefer a first-person shooter set in this amazing fictional universe rather than with this third-person viewpoint. That's why I absolutely love Star Wars Dark Forces 1 and 2. Those two can really immerse the player. The third-person perspective completely misses all the scale and depth of these gigantic places. And to conclude the PS3 games, here's Skate, or Skate 3. This was a stupid accident. I went to a CEX here in Portugal and grabbed Skate, the first one. This box with this cover. The guy behind the counter mistakenly placed inside the box the manual and the Essentials Blu-ray disc of Skate 3. And in the middle of the conversation, I completely forgot to check if everything was okay. This was last year around November, this week when I was about to try the game for the first time. I was shocked when I saw the splash screen of Skate 3 instead of Skate 1. So, will I return the game or simply keep this one? Skate 1 is a lot cheaper than Skate 3. This one is the most popular one because of the hilarious ragdoll physics and glitches that spawned a ton of fails and awkward moments being uploaded onto YouTube. I guess I'm gonna keep it, cause I also had a great time with it and just laughed out loud trying to pull off some ridiculous moves. Yeah. Now let's move on to the PlayStation 2 and to Mega Race 3. I have so many fond memories of playing on DOS, the first two games of this futuristic racing franchise. The first one came out around 1993, a couple of years before Wipeout that followed that same formula. I recall that I was eager to play Mega Race 1. It was my very first CD game, even before I had a CD player on my IBM PC. I was blown away the first time I tried it, so when I saw this Mega Race 3 copy, I grabbed it because of all the memories of playing the other two games on the franchise, and also because I had never played this third installment that was only available for Windows and the PS2. From the bits that I played to capture footage for this video, I was quite entertained, and if you stay close to the TV screen, man, it looks like a freaking roller coaster. Really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to play more. You know that I absolutely love those compilations of classic arcade games. So, and for the PlayStation 2, I also managed to grab Sega Classics Collection that includes new 3D versions of classic Sega titles such as Outrun, Space Harrier, Bonanza Brothers, Fantasy Zone, Golden Axe, Virtual Racing, Monaco GP, and Collins. The American release also includes Alien Syndrome. I still prefer the original versions of all these titles, but it's cool to have this compilation in my collection, yeah! And for the original Xbox, I came across a weird bundle of games. But let's start with a great game from a franchise that I always loved. And this game will remain in history as the entry that saved Lara's cute butt. Yeah, Lara Croft Tomb Raider legend. It doesn't need any kind of presentation or comments. An absolute must to everyone, and if you missed my complete history episode on Tomb Raider, now is the time to watch it. Just click in the annotation in the top right of the screen. Now comes an interesting game. Judge Dredd, Dredd vs. Death, a first-person shooter obviously based on the Judge Dredd comic series that was developed by Rebellion Development, responsible for the Sniper series. It's a quite simplistic game with nothing really special to point out, but I had fun playing it when capturing footage for this video. It was also available for all other rival systems, but I completely missed it back when it was released. And what about you guys? Tell me everything! And another one from the same bundle is Taz Wanted, with a cel-shaded version of Taz that is quite fun to play, really colorful, fast, and with all those cute characters like Daffy Duck, Tweety, and Coyote, among others. From what I've gathered, this is the worst version of the game. It was also published for the PC, PS2 and GameCube, and again, I wasn't aware of its existence. Tell me if you played it and if you have it in your own collection. Now, next one is Worms 3D for the Xbox. Let me get this straight. Worms should always be played on a 2D plane and not 3D, just like Lemmings. It's awkward and the camera is really annoying. Played it for a while and I was completely disappointed with it, because I was expecting for the game to be a lot better. I can't recommend it to anyone, and I'm hoping that you guys can tell me that I'm judging this game wrongfully. A good Worms game was the one I've mentioned on my last episode, part 2 of my series of videos about Amiga exclusives. Moving on to the last original Xbox game and to a title that I didn't know it existed, and it's even an Xbox exclusive, is Bruce Lee Quest of the Dragon. So the story goes, Bruce's father was kidnapped and to save him, he must fight his way through various locations around the world in order to retrieve a mystical golden relic from the hands of the Black Lotus organization. From what I read, it was criticized by everyone, but hey, it's an Xbox exclusive game and it's cool to collect exclusive games. Yeah. To conclude this video, you know that just recently I purchased a div IDE for my ZX Spectrum Plus 3 that also works with the Plus 2. And to go along with it, I also needed a compact flash card, like this one. I bought 2 of these. I can have now all my favorite ZX Spectrum games stored in just one card, and 512 megs is more than enough. As you saw on one of my latest episodes, it loads games at blistering speeds, and an example of that is Batman the movie. Instead of waiting 11 minutes for the 128K version to load from tape, with this little piece of amazing hardware, we just have to wait 4 seconds. Isn't that awesome? I'm loving it, and I'm now trying Spectrum games that I never tried before with just a couple of simple key presses. It saves a ton of time, and as you know, free time is really precious nowadays. So guys, what you think about my recent pickups? Do you approve? Tell me everything down in the comment section below. And if you enjoy this style of videos, check my others available on my channel. In the meanwhile, click on that bell icon so that you won't miss all my upcoming episodes. And if you had a blast with this particular one, please like, share and subscribe to It's a Pixel Thing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Cheers!